So again, we are in Tycjan in a Stoff studio, and today we just want to do like 2 bike fits, and we have a lot of questions about like bike fitting. 2 bikes for actually ultra distance, and we have a gravel bike and we have a road bike. And I have like some questions, and you will just explain us what is the difference between like these 2 bike fittings for different type of bikes, or we can just like make one bike fitting and it's like fine, and we can just like put our measurements from one bike and put to another one. So if you can just do a quick explanation and we just like jump to the fitting.
Yeah. Well, it's a very common question I have is, my saddle height is 74, can I just put that over onto my gravel bike and then everything should be set up right? And yeah, I wish it was as simple as that. I mean, if it was, then I probably wouldn't have a job. You know, there's so many more factors to it than just physically taking your measurements directly over from one bike to the other. And I would say there's 2 biggest factors in that is obviously the riding style. So when you ride a gravel bike compared to a race bike, the various things that change is the terrain you ride on, and then obviously the kind of speed you ride it. So on a racing bike, you're going to go straight and you're smaller because you want to flow through and not have too much resistance and drag. And on the gravel bike, it's almost the opposite, where you're going to be going slower. So you're not going to have to worry too much about the aerodynamics. I know it does play a role on the top end if you're going really fast, but for general riding in terms of gravel, the most important thing is being confident on the bike. Confidence comes from having control and stability. And if you can have a slightly shorter reach and sit more upright, you're going to be opening up some of your hip angles and your back angles, which will take stress off your hip, lower back, neck, shoulders, and then you can also ride longer because you're going to be in a more comfortable position. So more upright, better control and confidence, and then delayed fatigue.
Okay, so we have a special model today, Eryk, my friend. So he will like be kind of model for like these 2 bike fittings, and then during the entire process you will explain like what we should like focus during the bike fitting if we go to the studio, and what's like the most important part. Okay.
Cut in quick there. Most important part on the bike fit, any bike fit, is your pre-assessment. So once we've done the interview with the client or the rider, and we understand the body limitations and the injury history, and also the goals, from there, changing the bike to match the rider's body is the easiest part of the fitting. So most important, really thorough assessment of the body, understanding the rider and injury history, and from there, then we just change per bike. I'm just gonna sit on this little digital sit bone device.
Like that,
or a little bit more forward. So you're gonna find those sit bones, your lower back nice and straight. Yeah. Okay. And okay, cool. That's fine. You can stand up. So your sit bones are what's gonna keep you supported on the saddle. If you're sitting over the saddle, it's gonna be really uncomfortable. So with you, your sit bones are 120 or 123. Which puts you pretty much on the outside of a narrow saddle like this.
Wow.
So we'll see it when we put the saddle pressure mapping. Let me get the vernier. What you need to do, these are sit bones. 122, you see? It's over the sides of the saddle. So the saddle's not wide enough for you.
Okay.
It's also really long.
Second one, the gravel also.
You can see kind of warning signs for an indication if your saddle's too narrow or too far back by wear and tear. And you can see over here, this part of the rail is completely like rubbed off.
Yeah, I see.
So that shows you that you're not on the saddle, but you're actually sitting here.
Okay, I get it.
So you're getting this whole friction on the inside of your legs. So sometimes your shorts can be chafed, or it just takes a paint to
Yeah.
So visual assessment, your saddle's not supporting you enough.
Okay.
We'll do a digital saddle pressure mapping soon. But both bikes, the saddle's too narrow. So if you sit down over here, we're just going to get an indication of what's going on underneath your foot. You can see that there's also 2 different angles. There's varus, which is away from the middle line of the body, and valgus is falling in or internally rotated. You can see both your feet are slightly collapsing and slightly falling in, which will give your leg to the appearance that it's turning in like this, and that can often pull the knee in.
Mm-hmm.
If we don't support it with the insole,
Mm-hmm.
when you get tired and fatiguing, then your stabilizers aren't going to keep you straight anymore.
Okay.
And then you're going to have this internal rotation on the tibia.
Okay.
So it's really important that we fill up the bottom of your foot with the right size sole. Lift your feet up and then let's have a look. So you can see your feet are really high.
Yeah, that I know.
Inspection of your body and just see how it moves naturally. Like we discussed with your feet, there's those two angles. There's varus, which is away, and then valgus is falling in or collapsing. You can see both your feet are slightly falling in, and also your knees are internally rotated. So just start out by doing a small little squat, just like this.
Omdat
Ja,
jullie haast
back
hadden
up,
van het
do it
goed
again.
Dus het klopt allemaal.
Okay, that's fine. Stand on your right leg. Get your balance there.
Ja, nee, dat is prima. Kom
There we go. And when you eventually stop crab walking, then we're going to do just a small little, yeah, that's fine. Shows there's a lot of instability there.
Yeah.
Do the left leg, get your balance. This side's more stable compared to the other side.
Yeah.
Still not
maybe
not
I
ideal.
try more badly.
Do just a small little squat like that. No, that's fine. Cool. You can see both of those are really compromised. So, okay, so with the cleats, you can see they slightly different positions. This one's further forward than that one. So we just need to make sure that they're the same, and also the stance is different. So this one, your foot's more out, this one's more in the middle. So the cleats, it's really important that they set up the same.
Okay.
So those need to change, and to find the right spot for that, we need you to put the shoes on, and then we're going to just feel where the bones in your foot are. And then we can set up the cleats. Cleat placement, it's very easy, you can always do it at home.
Okay.
A lot of people struggle with that. The easiest way to reduce any pressure points underneath your foot is to not be on the ball of your foot. Super old traditional bike fit always used to put it on the first metatarsal joint. But there's sesamoid bones right under your big toe, and the older you get, the more they grow down and bigger. So you're going to get more and more pressure throughout the many kilometers you do. You're going to have a lot of foot pain. So you want to have the cleat between the first metatarsal and the fifth metatarsal. So we're just going to feel for that. That's over there, and then just roll your foot sideways. There we go. Do the same here. There's a little mark we made, and you can see you need your cleats much further back, so that needs to line up over there. So your cleats need to go back, almost 8 millimeters, maybe a centimeter, so much more further back. So let's do that, and then put the insole in, and then try them on the bike, and then see if we can get a little bit of a better equal distribution across the bottom of the foot.
Okay.
Cool. Okay, so you can always see how your soles tell a little bit of a tail. You can see that there's hardly any support in this current sole. A lot of pressure there under the ball of your foot, and your big toe is really grabbing on the whole time trying to stabilize your leg. Let's put a bigger sole in that can just fill up your foot and help stabilize your ankles.
Okay.
These are no good.
Okay.
Yeah. See, there we go. Okay, cool. So if you can see the difference between these two soles, this one's much higher and much firmer. It's also got a raised bit there in the middle called the metatarsal button that'll open up those little bones in your foot so they don't collapse on each other.
Okay.
So we're going to pop that in your shoe, and then it'll feel like you're standing on some rocks. It'll feel much better when you sit on the bike.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Pop your shoes on. There we go. Sorry about that. I'm sitting on the saddle.
Okay.
So inside there's 64 sensors, and that's going to tell you exactly where you're sitting, so we can see quite quickly what changes to make to your position on the bike, and also if we need a bigger saddle. Yeah. Okay. Grab the bar on top there, stand up real quick, and then let me put this on. And then you can start riding. There's a lot of pressure where you don't want pressure, and you also sitting completely skew on the saddle. So we definitely need to have the wider saddle. I want less pressure here. That's really not good. You're going to constantly adjust until your palm is back so that you don't get any frontal pressure, and then move around on it. Not saying that the bike position is also a little bit out, but we know that. yeah, like a reach for example, really long, and the saddle is way too high. So bring this leg down to the bottom.
Way too high.
Yeah. See, bring it right down to the bottom. To the bottom. To the bottom. See, your leg's literally completely straight. So, and this is very far. So the reach between your shoulder and your wrist, like you completely pulled out.
Yeah.
So saddle needs to be more forward, lower,
More forward.
wider,
Okay.
and then we're going to put a very different looking saddle.
Okay.
So it's much wider and flatter at the same time and way more short. So if you had to look at that, it's going to be way more sport.
Yeah.
So you sit on the saddle. And grab the top of the handlebar. How does that saddle feel?
Yeah, I feel totally different.
Forward, you see your neck out completely at maximum extension. Wonderful harness. That's gonna get to track your position in real time. So traditionally we used to do like a static measurement where you stop at the bottom and we literally just measure this. This is a dynamic measurement, so it can take the position of the harness while you're riding. So when you're pushing heavier gears or lighter gears or higher cadence, lower cadence, it can always capture what you do.
Okay.
All the professional teams use it, and it's consistent. That's the most important thing, is consistency when you're measuring bikes and bodies. It's always measured the same with the same parameters and the same protocols. Pedaling, keep pedaling, keep pedaling. This all looks good, but those are just the guideline. So what the computer can't see is what you're doing with your hands. So it just measures this extension, so shoulder to wrist. That says that it's the right length with the shoulder to wrist, they're at 84 degrees. But we can see that it's not a comfortable position, so we're just going to make one small adjustment there.
Okay.
That'll mean that your stem is the right length. As you can see, these hoods are quite far down, so that makes the reach of the handlebar a lot longer than what it needs to be. The tilt of the bar is correct. You can see the placement of the hood is almost going down, which will really make the reach quite far and uncomfortable. So we want to just relax the wrist by doing a small adjustment of the placement of this hood. It's very simple, just takes a 5mm Allen key, and this is the same across all group sets. Obviously on Campag they use the Torx, but other than that it's literally identical. And then you're just going to bring that just ever so slightly up. But this is just more supportive than that side, and that'll allow the elbow to just bend and have a small relax, and it will give you more relaxed position in your shoulders and neck. So as you can see over there, everything's perfect. I think it's time that we move over to the gravel bike. Okay, so something we're going to look for now on the gravel bike is to make sure that there's a difference between the shoulder and the wrist, which is pretty much your reach, and also your back angle. So you want to have a little bit less shoulder to wrist and increased back angle. That way he's going to be more upright, more comfortable, more stable on the saddle over here, and slightly closer reach will give him the control and stability on the bike. So let's see how that goes. Start riding and then let's see. Put your hands on top there. Yeah. Okay, so the first problem with this is same as on your road bike, the reach is too far and your saddle is way too high. We already changed the saddle because we know what saddle it needs. So we put the same saddle on this bike. That's the foundation of the bike fit, so at least we're going to keep that the same. But yeah, saddle needs to be much lower, and then we're going to take the handlebar tape off and bring the hoods back again. Cool. Jump off, and then that's it. So the difference between the bikes is not that noticeable. Eryk is an endurance rider, so it's not like he's coming in with a racing bike and he wants to do crit racing and long breakaway specials where he's going to sit in a really small aerodynamic position where we're going to get him really low on his back angle. They're very, very similar on the road bike and on the gravel bike because they're both endurance events, and he wants to spend a lot of time on the bikes, so being more open and upright is going to be beneficial on both bikes. Gravel ever so slightly more, but yeah, both bikes are set up to be supportive on a long journey. So let's see how it goes. It's always important to do a few rides first, and if there's any issues we just do the follow-up, but both bikes are pretty identical.